Welcome to Flight Simulator 2020. Yes, it's finally here. Today we're comparing the default A320 to the Toliss A319 from X-Plane. We're going to run through the top 5 features of the Toliss A319 and we'll see if this default aircraft can match them. So let's get going.
Don't sink.
An important feature of Airbus aircraft and the Toliss 319 is that it has flight envelope protection. So if you try and roll the aircraft beyond 30 degrees of bank, it won't let you roll the aircraft over any further and it will roll you back to a more sensible angle. So let's see how the 320 from Flight Simulator behaves. So we're rolling over, trying to go beyond 30 degrees. We've got quite a lot of bank on here, but it stops us. It actually starts pushing us back towards a more sensible angle, and then we can just bring the aircraft back in line ourselves, pop the autopilot back on and continue on our way. So that's a big feature of Airbus fly-by-wire, and I'm glad it's in this plane. The Toliss also has overspeed protection, so if you put the throttles all the way forward during normal flight and the aircraft goes overspeed, the Toliss Airbus will pitch the nose up and sound an alarm to prevent the airframe going overspeed. So if we advance the throttles in this plane here, we can see what will happen when we hit that overspeed marker. So the desired behaviour is that the nose pitches up and we get an autopilot disengage, as well as a message on the PFD telling us to slow down. As the speed advances here, let's take a look at how the default 320 behaves. The Airbus does generally have quite a high overspeed limit, so it takes us a while to get there and you probably won't hit it in normal flight. So we have just an overspeed alarm, but it's not making any efforts to pitch the aircraft up or slow us down, so we'll have to bring the throttles back ourselves, get to a more sensible speed and continue our flight. So there's no real overspeed or prototypical overspeed protection in this A320, and I don't even think the alarm is the proper one. So let's move on to our next feature. So let's take a look at some of the other systems. So in the Toliss, it has a prototypical Airbus ECAM, so the display at the bottom of the screen. This displays details about the APU, about the air conditioning, all of that stuff. So when you start the APU master switch, you should be able to switch over to the APU screen and see a message that tells you when the APU flap is open, allowing you to start it. But the APU button here for the ECAM is inoperative in the A320, so we can't see if the flap is open or not. We just have to start the APU. Even once we've started it, we still can't get to that screen. So the APU starts and runs, but there's no way of telling what it's doing. Another cool ECAM feature on the Toliss A319 is that you can see the air temperature in the cabin, and you can turn up the temperature of the heat from the air vents, and you can then see that temperature change displayed on the cabin display. So if we click conditioning, again, that's also inoperative in the A320, and if we go up to the cabin air temperature adjusters, you can see those are also inoperative, so we don't have that level of insane systems depth in this plane.
Retard.
So with the flight envelope protection, generally an Airbus won't let you do anything stupid like roll it over in the normal mode. In the Toliss we can put it in the direct law mode, which involves a few configuration changes, but it connects the controls directly to the surfaces, which allows you to do barrel rolls and all kinds of things. So let's try making these configuration changes here. So first we've got to turn off the IRS up here, and you can't do that, that's inoperative. You've also got to switch a few knobs down here in the center console. Again, we can't do that because those are inoperative. The other two steps to put an Airbus into direct law are to turn the flight directors off. We can do that, you click one, it turns both off. And the other thing we'd need to do is put the landing gear down. So with the landing gear down, we're going to try, I don't think we're in any kind of direct law or anything, but we're going to turn the autopilot off and we're going to see if we can barrel roll it here. And again, that flight envelope protection has kicked in and stopped us rolling it over too far. So we are still in normal law, and no, this plane doesn't have the alternate and direct laws of sort of a prototypical Airbus simulation like the Toliss, but it's fine. 99% of the time, you're in normal mode anyway. Another important feature in the Toliss A319, which is useful if you're flying on VATSIM, is the ability to hold at certain waypoints. So at any waypoint along your route, you can insert computed hold. So if we click on the Barkway waypoint here, and we click hold, you see nothing happens. So it doesn't seem to have any kind of hold functionality. If we go back and we'll try another waypoint, so we'll try the entrance to the star, you can't even click on that. Again, back to Barkway, try and insert a computed hold, it won't let you do it. So this aircraft at the moment doesn't support holds, which could be tricky if you're flying on VATSIM, but in normal offline flight, it shouldn't be a problem. So one cool feature that highlights the depth of the Toliss simulation is the ability to do a cross-bleed start. That is, if your APU isn't working, you can start one engine from high pressure air from a ground cart, and you can then start the second engine off the bleed air from the first. So to do that, you need to start the plane in a certain way. So we're going to go up top, we're cold and dark at the moment, we turn the batteries on, turn the external power on, we need to turn the fuel pumps on, and we'll turn the packs off, which are inoperative in this plane. We're also going to make sure the engine bleeds are off to start with. So now what you would do is you would open the cross-bleed valve, which is inoperative in this plane. So it doesn't look like you can do a cross-bleed start, you'll just have to do a regular start with the APU. The other thing we'll check is whether there's any option for high pressure air from a ground cart in the sim as it stands. But if we go into the ATC menu and the ground services menu, what you will see is that there is an option for pushback, fuel supply, power supply, baggage service, catering service, and a jetway, but no option yet for high pressure air.
Minimum.
So thank you for watching this brief feature comparison of the default A320 in Flight Sim 2020 and the Toliss A319. I hope you found it useful, but I just want to say that the default A320 is actually very good. I did a full flight in normal modes with SIDS, stars, managed climbs, top of descent, deceleration points, all of the normal stuff, and everything functioned absolutely perfectly from start to finish. So I can absolutely recommend this sim and this plane if all you do is normal flying and you're not too interested in the extremely detailed system depth stuff.